Good morning, rather late because the traffic has been horrendous, but Gorringes are on view for our sale on the 21st. And it's another great mixture. I could walk you around the sale room as usual, but we're rather busy with a few people viewing, so they don't all want to be on camera. I'll show you a few bits out here. Look at this nice sort of contemporary cabinet. It's in the drawer, we've got a little stamp there saying TW made it in 2010. And it's nicely made. It's sort of an interesting piece, sort of quite a contemporary bit of furniture there. It's in at lot 802 80 to 120. Something a bit different. This is Beehive, lot 803. Beekeeping quite popular these days. I have no idea whether it's ready to go or not. It looks solid enough to me. It looks like it's made of oak or similar. There's some interesting doors. I like those leaded ones over there. There's some arch doors on the left. Nice Victorian bookcase. So good mixture of things. Have a look through the website as usual. Look at the things you like. We like this stool. Davey pointed this out to me. It's a rather characterful little stool. Sort of thing that's selling well at the moment. Lot 854. It's in at 100 to 150. Elm seat. But you know, that sort of thing that might go and make a bit more. Might make a few hundred. So as we're not touring around today, I thought I'd show you what the auctioneer sees from the rostrum, because you're always looking up at us auctioneers, but you're not usually looking over our shoulder. So we're not, it's not all live at all. But here the auctioneer will be, up on the rostrum, looking out at the room. Hopefully a few more people there than we've got today. Sometimes it can be as few as 2 or 3, but usually we'll start a sale with a good full room, even with the days of internet. So the auctioneer's up here. I've got a screen in front of me. This is showing a picture of what I'm selling, the lot that's also on the screen behind that the audience are looking at. So we all know that we're selling the same thing. And then to my right, there are 2 screens showing the different internet platforms and what they're up to, what bids are coming in. And then I've got what we call the auctioneer's book. And the auctioneer's book is a printed list of the lots. So we would start with lot 1. I'd look down and see that I've got a Victorian mahogany bookcase to sell. I've looked at the picture on my screen. I can see that it belongs to a Mr. Lim, who is a special client for whatever reason. And the estimate on that bookcase is 200 to 300. I can see that there's no reserve. And I can also see I've got a bid here from Mr. Brown. This would be printed out usually by the computer. A bid for Mr. Brown of £200. So I think good news. I'm going to sell my first lot, which is always pleasing. So what do? No reserves. So I've got to buy it for him as cheaply as possible. But at the same time, our method of working here is that if we don't have a reserve, we are looking for at least 50% of the lower estimate or more. So I'm likely to start the bidding on that bookcase at £100. And I'll say, starting this lot, starting you at £100. Now I start at 100, so I'm going to end up on that 200 if I need to. So I start at 100. I've got no other bids on my book. Either the internet jumps in, and the clerk will say 110, or I'll see 110 on the screen, and then I'll go 120 and back to the internet. Or someone in the room will bid, and then the bidding will go on, and I will keep bidding on behalf of Mr. Brown up until I get to 200. If I get to 200 and it stops, bang, Mr. Brown's bought it. If somebody else bids one bid more, 220, they've bought it. Somewhere in between the 100 and the 200, it'll be with Mr. Brown. I'm on the right leg to get that £200, so I've sold it. Now, my next lot is a Beehive, and I look at that, think that's a bit different. I look and see who the vendor is. That's less relevant at this stage. I can see I've got an estimate of 100 to 150, and I've got a reserve of £100, so I can't sell it for less than £100. If I had no commission bids, I'd be looking to start it at about 70, £80, because I know I've got to get to 100. There's no point starting at 20 if I've got to get all the way up to 100. It's just wasting everybody's time. Some auctioneers do like to plod along from very low down. Not my personal approach, but each to their own. So I would start about 70, £75, so that I'm getting on the right leg, lined up to sell that Beehive at 100. Now, in this case, I've got 2 commission bids. Mr. Buzzy's left 130 and Mr. B has left 100. So I'm a happy auctioneer because I've got 2 conflicting bids. And I can say, I've got 2 conflicting bids. I'll start at £110, and that's where I start, 110, so that Mr. Buzzy is already right lined up to get that Beehive. And then we look at the room and we see whether the room bids any more. If they do, I keep bidding on behalf of Mr. Buzzy up until that 130, where he either buys it or he's outbid by the internet, etc. Once my commission bids are out the way, if it's still going on, the internet might be bidding. I'll be taking a bid from the internet. I'll be looking at the room. I'm waiting to see if the room come in. All done. No one else bidding in the room. Internet's finished. I'm out on the book. Bang, down comes the hammer. It's all going on quite quickly. The focus is very much on that exact moment of that one lot of what is going on. And once you bang, you're on to the next lot. You just focus on that lot. Key information in your head is what the reserve is. You don't want to sell it for less. Your vendor's not going to be happy. You'll be compensating them. And then after that, you're looking to get the best price you can, not to miss any bids. Sometimes bids get missed. People sit in front of each other. You don't see them. They sit with their hands in their pockets. At the last minute, they go, oh, I was bidding on that, sir. At that point, the auctioneer has to decide whether they're going to reopen the lot, which is perfectly within their remit, as long as it's still at the point where the lot is being sold, haven't gone on to another lot, and decide what to do there. All sorts of things happen at auctions. Always interesting. But anyway, that's given you a slight idea of what we're doing up here, what we're looking at, and how we're proceeding with things. And hopefully that's of some interest. So come along and view our sale. I think the traffic's cleared now. You can get in from Brighton, which is always nice. And we're on view here tomorrow anyway, Saturday till 1. And as ever, the sale starts Monday at 10. So look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.